Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm just doing a video. You probably know what this is going to be about, but just from the title alone, and this is just kind of some thoughts on nearly 2 years of this complete catastrophe that we've faced as a human race on planet Earth. You know, there's been a lot of deaths from, whether you're talking about the virus itself, lockdowns that probably caused many people not to get their medicines and they died because of that. Some starvation, according to UNICEF and the UN, because of lockdowns. Just social stigmatization towards other groups and people, and divisiveness and hatred, and more death, and political corruption, which I have never seen on the scale that in my lifetime. I've never seen people be such hypocrites about things that they were pushing. I just didn't realize that our society is so corrupt. And I just wanted to do this video because as dark as things have gotten, there just might be a way out of this pretty soon. It looks like, and I'm not going to mince words, you know, it's not promised or anything like that this is going to happen, but this new variant is looking like, I don't even know if even, I mean, I'm not sure if people that had the shot, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what the risk is. It seems like even that is being said to be less. Not completely sure about that part of it, but it's looking like, I mean, even Fauci has said this might be like less severe than the previous one. And I'm just wondering, like, after all this time, you know, I mean, obviously that probably means it's gonna, you know, it's gonna kill us all because it's been wrong so many times. But no, I don't actually deny that his narrative on this is believable in this circumstance. And you know, I just imagine this. So someone that's like a public health professional like that has that many you know, hands, that people putting their hands in his pocket, you know, just he's more the face of things rather than the actual architect of any kind of nefarious plan. You know, he's more the bureaucrat that's there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I've compared him to Robert McNamara in the past. You know, these technocratic, bureaucratic people that are in power. They're just kind of doing what they're told, and they just work with numbers. And you know, it's one of those things that you can consider in these public positions, that they are not sitting there in, you know, rubbing their hands and saying, "Oh, I love what's going on" all the time. I mean, he's a human being, as far as I know. I'm not completely sure, but you know, I think my point is he might have fatigue too, and he might be saying, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm just going to say the variant is going to be mild because it probably is," or something like that from all the studies so far. So my thoughts are that if this is really the end, which by all history, all accounts, like looking at Spanish flu, looking at previous pandemics, let's just put it in that frame. And I know I've done a lot of activism on my channel, or in other ways too. I'm not, you know, offline as well. I've done some stuff to, you know, push against the tide of tyranny that I saw possibly happening. And it's not even about the temporary measures. It's more about the permanency and the possibility that authority, you know, people, once they get this power, they won't let go, even if there's no virus, right? So that's the reason for my such, you know, a militant stance. I'm really a moderate at the end of the day about all this stuff. I feel like I have to assume this extreme position to push against that stuff, because I have seen the face of it with all this destruction that's happened and all the hypocrisy. Boris Johnson just recently, I just saw, is having his holiday parties, even though he's telling people not to do that kind of thing. They're doing all this hypocritical stuff with lockdowns, you know. So I've really had it with that stuff. But the point being is that if this is truly over, then this is a great moment that this variant is so mild, to people, and they're not going to, the narrative is going to crumble. If people believe, let's just assume this position, as in what NLP says, assume a position, not assume a position for sex. I'm just saying, assume that they've just been watching too much Beavis and Butthead lately. Assume the position. So anyways, let's assume this position that there is a narrative that they're pushing, but this thing's mild, the new variant, if it's mild, then their narrative's done. They're done. I mean, if Fauci is saying that it's going to be a mild variant that's not going to cause a lot of deaths or hospitalizations, then we could, at the end of the day, I really hope this YouTube doesn't get banned, because I'm not speaking medical misinformation. So we'll see if this passes muster. I keep saying that, but if this thing that comes about in America, which is already spread everywhere pretty much, probably, does turn out to be mild, then we can see that it's over. And not, as much as I don't like to give too much credence to the occult, even though if you look in this bookshelf, there's like, I pretty much have if you wanted to do like a role-playing stat from World of Darkness, which is Vampire, Masquerade, Mage, and all that, I at least have a cult library of 3 with all the books that I have, which are basically, all sorts of different types of books, but I do have a lot of occult books, so I'm into the occult, just face it. If we want to look at the occult aspect of this, or the woo aspect, as people say, these materialistic atheist smug assholes that probably would attack me for even believing or even mentioning this, right? There's a lot of materialistic atheistic assholes out there that I've known in my life, but and I've been atheistic at times or agnostic at times, and I think to have that position in your head, or to have that mental construct in your head, is useful at times, and I think it's still an alternative. It's still one way to view the world and the universe that is effective, okay? But let's say this is true. So the fact of the matter is that May 13th, 2021, the cat, just the first letter in that, lifted all the mandates and had a honor system for everybody. Everything was different. It was like, oh, this is over. We went... you could go to a bar without having to, get some stupid temperature scanner, or, you didn't have to wear the mask. This was even before, the Max passports. Replace M with a V. I'm going to use code words, of course. This was before all that stuff got into play too. That was this fall, where a lot of that came into play. So we had this freedom. It was like the veil, the cloud had been lifted May 13th, 2021. July 28th, 2021 is when the cat decided to put people had to wear masks again, even if they had the full jabba dabba doos. And that caused a lot of different regions to do more mitigation measures, or authoritarian measures, if you like. But there were 2 things that happened on those days as well. And that's astrology. And we're looking at tropical astrology. Jupiter went into Pisces, which is a constellation that is watery. There's elemental stuff with astrology too. And it was like Kelly Surtees, Chris Brennan, Alex Kopic, all these people predicted in various podcasts, various shows, various episodes of podcasts, that this would be kind of a freedom moment, okay? Where we would, things would get better with the virus, for a while. Chris Brennan particularly said that would be false, okay? And one of these, I think it was 2021 astrology podcast, 2021 year in the prediction video or whatever. 2021 predictions or whatever they call it, whatever it's called. I can't remember what exactly it's called. He basically said, that would be false because we'd have to go back when Jupiter went into Aquarius again. When did that happen? Well, July 28th, 2021. Look what happened. It would be false. It would be a false sense of security. So we'd have to review things again and go back, right? Because I guess that's somewhat kind of an astrological elemental thing where the dream of Pisces, it's like this dreamy kind of thing, like, oh, it's the travel, flowing things. And Aquarius, it's like more technical kinds of things, some authoritarianism, but also some rebellion, as we see. So it's a very interesting moment. Now, they also said that basically there's something to do, and I do not understand astrology. I'm just getting into it this year, pretty much. Last year I watched a bunch too. I admit it. Obviously, if you see from my videos before, I definitely watched some astrology last year too. I wasn't really into it before 2020 though, that much, other than being interested in it to a certain extent, more shallow extent. And of course, I knew about rising signs being very important, which most people don't know that. But yeah, I didn't know that much, but I was interested. I used to check people's birthdays in high school and see, oh, are they a Libra? It probably is a bunch of bullshit in some ways, but for some reason, coincidentally, a lot of times it aligns with reality. It's whatever theory you have of why. So this is what happened, and I guess what they're predicting is February and March, or should be even better, because I guess there's some other alignments that happen that are way more beneficial to that already emerging alignment that happens December 28th of this month. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I thought I'd do this video because the new variant of gun or guitar. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what a variable variant. I don't know. The new variants of the guitar, the different paint jobs and all that. This one is a lot more mellow on the eyes, supposedly. So it definitely fits in with this whole astrological predictive elements. Kelly Surtees particularly said, without question, that 2022, it's over. Like I don't know if she said it's ever over, or she said it's endemic, but the virus. She said basically, back to normal. And Chris Brennan, and she said that a few times in different episodes of her channel or videos on her channel. And then when Chris Brennan said is that December 20, we're going to feel like we're back in 2019, which I have mixed feelings about. 2019 was a pretty good year for me, but I don't know, what that means exactly for my life. But I think having these beneficial astrological alignments, if it is real, if it's a real thing, if astrology is real, which it's so coincidental with these different dates with the CDC and all that. It's just so weird. That's going to benefit my life, because that's the last time I really felt happy was pre-December 2019, pretty much. And that's really when a lot of these alignments started that were shitty. My personal life went to shit too. And there's more than one reason why. And there's certain reasons why or things that I had to face that I'm not going to do in a YouTube video or on any social media. Now, my memoirs that I will write one day, it's pretentious as it sounds, will mention what happened to me in December 2019, what I had to deal with. And then I also had, outside of that, various troubles with a woman that I was with at the time, and just depression and a lot of stuff, even at my job, that was kind of going to shit. It was kind of like at my job, particularly, there was like the knowledge that things would get worse at my job, like more duties and more stuff added in. Oh, you're going to be taking customer service calls. I wouldn't be surprised if you would. This one guy, this manager guy, I wouldn't be surprised if you took every call a year or two from now. What are we doing now? Taking every fucking call, or it's a totally different job, which I'm trying to get out. But anyways, that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, it was getting shitty because we were taking these other calls that we were front end people when we were managers, and it was getting worse and worse. On certain days, most days it was fine, but certain days it was getting worse where we were taking these front line calls for financial stuff, which we were supposed to have graduated from because we were this a graduated status as managers or help desk or whatever you want to call it. So that's when things started to go into shit. Was December 2019. I could pinpoint these various things like I just mentioned, and it just seemed like things were going kind of weird. It wasn't really terrible, except obviously until March of 2020 when we were thrown into that queue full time, and we lost our job. Basically, we lost the position that we were doing and had to do frontline all over again. And then we were supposed to go back to this other job, and then we sort of were, and then now we're sort of in between these different things that are just shit, and I just want to get the hell out of there. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to December 28th. I don't know if it's going to happen right away. Like I said, this is going to be something that, because all these different astrological configurations, it's going to be a challenge getting out of this whole thing. But I think so far with the new variants, it seems like if the hype of the new variant is true, it's over. I mean, what are we going to do? You know, I think there will be, what are my predictions? I'm going to predict some things as far as what I think is going to happen. I think some people seriously are mentally ill, like on Twitter, like these blue check marks, you know, Leanna Wen, or, you know, Eric, whatever I can't pronounce his name. You know who I'm talking about, these really crazy, rabid people about this whole thing, right? People that follow, I mean, maybe not those particular people, but people that follow that, especially the real grifting type that are like on that, actually people that on that level that are grifters, like they're the grifting type, they'll want to push this out even further, even with a mild variant, you know. They'll be like, oh, well, we still have to do lockdowns forever, you know. And they'll be mentally ill followers of these people. They'll be pushing this as a political thing forever. You'll be seeing people, I mean, maybe not a huge amount of people, but you'll be seeing miserable, smug, neoliberal following, rich, upper middle class, white people, liberals, wearing masks forever. You'll be seeing that. You'll be seeing these people just doing that for the rest of your life. You'll be seeing people do that after this. Because they said, well, I just don't like getting colds. You know, they'll just be like inhuman people, you know. You'll see people pushing them on certain, maybe there's a fucking flu one year, they'll be like, oh, we need masks again. Oh. You know, I mean, certain people, certain regions, probably this region, but unfortunately, but you know, certain things will still be going on and taking place in this situation. Of course, there'll be fights about that. I think by then there will be more people on the left that are pushing against a lot of this stuff, but I think these people will remain. It's a cult. Some of these people are in a cult. They love misery, and it's like they like the death. I like the death. It's from, was that Cyborg, the movie? I like the misery. I like this world, or I love this world, or whatever. It's a quote from Cyborg. Speaking of plagues. You know, but yeah, there's people that are be wanting this forever because they're so addicted to it, you know. I've never liked this shit. I never liked the whole whatever you want to call it, the spiked apocalypse that we've been living in, you know, trying to use code words, of course, for YouTube censoring robot AI. So I've never liked it. I never wanted it to happen. I wanted to move on to the rest of my life this last summer. Obviously I couldn't in the real substantial way that I wanted to because of what happened July 28th. But I really hope this is it. This will be it. And there will be people pushing authoritarianism, probably, especially in Europe and Australia and New Zealand, for the next year or so, probably because of this. They'll still be pushing part of it. Better safe than sorry. We'll have to lock you up. There'll be people pushing all this shit. But I think America will come with senses for the most part, even a lot of liberals. And a lot of these countries will. Like Northern Europe will be like, oh, it's only like a cold. I guess we could go back to normal. They'll do that in a fucking month if it is like a cold. That's about all.